Yep.
Okay. Here's what I said. I got about a quarter of power left. And it's getting late. You're tired. You gotta go to bed. Right?
I'm not particularly tired, but...
Oh, you looked it. But anyways, like I said, we're both coming from a hard place. I went through a lot. 25 years holding back a lot of my feelings and all of that. You going through a lot of turbulence as well. We start down the road. We talk whenever we want about whatever we want. Ask whatever you want. And let it go and develop from there. And we enjoy whatever experiences we have together. What do you think?
Well, I think that, based on my experiences, I mean, particularly in the last year, but also the context through which I know you, which was this kind of 1 in a million chance of the park director telling me about this random person who was doing an archaeological study because, randomly my landlord moved the rocks, because randomly I sat there for 3 years looking out the window. This is, it's very significant. Like how it happened, how it unrolled is very significant, and how it unrolled is what, gives me the, ability to and the interest in doing what I do, or, what I'm capable of doing, and the research that I'm able to do, reading stuff that I can synthesize. And so being out in the field with you and seeing you and Priscilla several times, and going to the conference and stuff like that has been the kind of experience that I haven't had before, but especially after being literally inside for so many years, having no interest in anything, to all of a sudden having it turned around and being able to go out and see these features and document them and understand them and learn more about them and all of that. It literally saved my life. So that whole thing is a very, it's maybe a little bit of an overstatement, but a very sacred undertaking in a sacred space for me. Do you understand that?
It's the same thing I told you about meeting you.
No, but let me just finish. But your decorum in the woods, and all the many hours that we've spent together relating over the structures, or arguing about theory, or trying to figure out the next thing. There has been zero innuendo, of any of kind of the wrong-headed thinking or fuckery that goes on oftentimes between opposite sex people. And the whole time, this is for years, being so grateful that you marched ahead in 4-yard strides, and I had to run to keep up with you. And anytime you mentioned your wife, you were telling the story of an amazing adventure that you guys have had together for 50 years. And the whole time being so grateful that, myself being so grateful that none of this other shit was introduced. And so when we had dinner at your house the last time, you know, you were talking about, well, you women have it so easy. You can go out and be dressed and look however you want to look, or wear pants and nobody cares. But the other side of that coin is you have to manage all the things that go along with being a female in this culture. You know what I mean? So for a woman who's 60, who's had 2 children and nursed 2 children, I can't just go to Home Depot in a t-shirt. You know what I mean? I have to manage my boobs. Right?
I know what you're talking
in
about.
one bra or another, and all of this to avoid distracting young children, maybe prepubescent adolescents, maybe adolescents, maybe the odd young man with an Oedipal thing, and then just go on up the list of all the people who could be distracted. But mostly I think that they go like, oh my God, it looks like National Geographic, that lady should really find a better bra. But what I really want to do is just go get my plants. But as a female in this, like, I have to organize these things so that they're not below my lowest rib, which for me is fine. You know, that's how I live around at home. But we're talking a difference of 7 inches and structural changes in the right bra. Just so I can walk up the stairs and go out the door. And I'm not going out to anything fun. I'm going to Home Depot. So I resent the shit out of that. And particularly because that since my son died, another thing that switched off like music for me was vanity. I stayed home and started working on projects in the garage and had to figure out how to, you know, mix epoxy and oil-based urethane, and how to finish this floor, and how to buy a house, and you know what I mean, and it being in a dating situation or a romantic situation, which used to be a standard important thing to me, you know, post marriage and all of that, like music, like many things, turned off like a switch. Like I don't have neither attraction nor aversion nor opinion, just completely randomly not interested. I can't imagine, you know, fitting any kind of serious thing into my life, you know, much less anything that's out of the box. And after 6 years, the one time I tried, I was sexually assaulted. So really, I'm not in the mood for any fuckery on any level, in any way, shape, or form around A, the fact that I'm female, B, how do I look, what's the shape of my pants, what bra am I wearing, is my hair in a bun, have I been on the road and like not washed for 3 days, and because 6 months ago I would never have thought of any of this in terms of getting in a car with you. But now, since you've brought this to the party, all of that changes, and that is a change which is very unwelcome to me and causes me a lot of stress. A, especially because I was sexually assaulted a year ago.
Well, that's what I was thinking,
B, because it's out of the box, completely inappropriate. It's out of the box. It's not like over the last 5 years, once every 7 months, we would look at each other and think, oh God, that never happened. It's all about the rocks and the features and the trails and the da-da-da-da. And you have a beautiful, amazing marriage. So I don't even understand where that would even possibly fit in. So from my perspective, even the discussion of it, to say it's grossly inappropriate is a major understatement. major. Like, where did this, it's like suggesting, look, every rest stop we stop at, we have to look for the Easter Bunny, because the Easter Bunny is real. And if we just bring these baskets and jelly beans and some stuff and lay them around by the trees next to the place where the dog poops, and then throw some Skittles on it, everything, it's that much of a like magical thinking. There's no basis for it. A, because of my life and where I'm coming from. B, because there's no history or indication of it in the woods, as it should not have been. Because you always made a point of telling wonderful stories about your wife and your marriage. And Nelson and Michael have never said anything about you, but Dave and Priscilla, blah, 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 blah. And that's great for me. Because as a female person walking out the freaking door trying to figure out what bra to wear each day, the fact that there's one less problem checked on the list is huge. And this particular problem happens to be like in my dream location intellectually and curiosity wise. I've been interested in this since I was 8 years old. You know, when I first started going to college, when I was, full time, I was 20. I traveled first. I looked for an archaeology anthropology major. I couldn't find one, but the school was free and fully funded, so I didn't look a gift horse in the mouth and da 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 da. And here I am, 40 years later, with the opportunity to go to Blue Lick and see these amazing things in Wyoming and in the other location. But there's a whole lot of baggage around it now, which is I don't even understand how that happened. I'm a very modest person. Even before this whole sexual assault business, which has changed my attitude toward what they call rape culture, which is just every day. And even Priscilla, ask her, is she going to run to the grocery store without a bra?
No, I understand though.
She will not. It's a burden. It's a burden. And let's say you're 20 and you're going to run to the store, and that would look great, running to the store without a bra. Nope.
Yeah.
You got to tamp them down. So one way or the other, either cover the ugliness or cover this thing, which is going to ignite this thing in the opposite sex, which apparently there's no control over thinking of, unless like your daughter or your sister calls, and apparently like it shuts that down. So I mean, it's a matter of thinking. And so consider me personally in the last year and what happened to me, and then add the death of my son, which really cuts to the chase of a lot of things. The amount of bullshit I'm willing to deal with is pretty much down to zero. And so to throw this into the mix and into the trip and into my way of thinking, and now the bra and the laundry and the hotel and the tent and the da-da-da-da-da. Now I have to manage all of this, which is a lot of emotional labor that I don't want. And I don't need, and it wasn't invited, and it's not appropriate. And I don't know what the hell Priscilla is thinking, getting behind this. So that's where I'm coming from. It's like, I need to figure all this out and have it laid out on a map for me, a map that I love and understand before I'll get in the car with you. So Blue Lick is a what do you call it? A beta test. Because if I'm not comfortable with who I am as well as who you are and getting on the road, so I'm not remotely interested in seeing where things go. If you want to go on the road and find somebody to be frisky with, and your wife is down with that, it's awesome. It's none of my business.
Well,
But I'm not that person. I am not that person.
It's some of the things, like you said to me, I thought you were developing a little more closer relationship. So the point is, that's fine. Then that's the way it will be.
I mean, that's just not keeping game face on, you know? I mean, because things happen that are real and disturbing and upsetting. Stephanie being president, Priscilla's ups and downs with Lyme, and you're back up and put together. You want to go out in the woods, and she's still down with Lyme. Stuff like that. Those are real human conversations that people of either same, opposite, of any gender can have about life and being in your 60s and 70s and in partnership and having raised children. There's a lot to talk about. And I have a unique perspective because I'm coming from the baseline of the worst possible situation. So it's made me very forgiving. It's made me very tolerant. It's made me very understanding. It's also made me available to stuff like being scammed by this guy.
Yeah.
I have to go to small claims court on Thursday by myself. Because it's either pay an attorney to do it or, the women's center won't do it. If you're thrown in a ditch and banged on the head, they'll go to small claims court with you. But, and the whole reason I engaged with this person was because the police said, yeah, find a private investigator, prove the phone was hacked, and then we'll and so anyway, on so many levels, I'm in no mood. Let me just put the gestalt of it like that. And in the woods, you don't have the time or the brain space to answer all the questions about hydrogeology, astronomy, archaeology. That's how I picture time on the road. Like, oh my God, 36 hours nonstop in the car with Dave. I can learn everything he knows. and I can finally get all these questions answered where he stops and goes, well, da 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 da. I'm like, nope, we're in the car together. You can't get away. You've got to continue. And oh, look, we have Google right on the phones. Look, you're wrong. That's the kind of engagement that I'm interested in. Because it's my understanding that you're interested in me learning about and understanding and applying as much of this information as is possible. So there's no time to waste.
All right.
So that's a very long and emphatic talk about where I'm coming from, who I am, where I stand in the relationship, my tremendous love and respect for you and Priscilla, what you stand through, what you've been on. You know what I mean? And you can see why I didn't bring this to the party 4 years ago, taking a walk in Fonstock. So, here's my story, because, it's not great. I'm hopping on one leg, and I've learned to hop pretty well, but it's still one leg.
All right, and then, like I said, we start down the road and see where it goes.
All right.
Huh?
I said, all right, but I just want you guys to have a clear sense of where I am, where I'm coming from, and why. And there may be stuff, a part of it may be generational, or having had 3 surgeries in the last 2 years. There's a lot. There's a lot going on.
I need you. I had 5.
Oh, boy. I mean, that was, you had 5 surgeries in the last 2 years?
Yeah,
Oh, wow, yeah. And how many of those were general anesthesia?
none.
So they were all the kind where you count backwards from 10?
I stayed in the hospital for each one.
No, but I mean, in the surgery, for the anesthesia, did you go to sleep for the whole procedure?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's general anesthesia, so they took you down.
I don't know, I had the spinal, I had everything.
Okay, so that's 5, and may I ask how old you are? Can you remind me?
I'll be 76 in September 6th.
So you have 5 surgeries at the age of 75, each one.
74
Seven,
to 75.
okay, but general anesthesia, which is where you're chemically slowly cranked down to dead while they cut you open and rearrange your organs, which your body doesn't like, whether you're dead or not, and then crank you back up. All the painkillers, the assault every time your body is cut into, whether you feel the pain or not, which you don't because of the general anesthesia. The nerves, the tissue is still well aware of what's going on, and so that's times 5, right? 5 things.
Whatever, I had 5 operations. Anyways, look, it's getting late.
Okay.
Let's do this. So, Yellowstone and all that, that got wiped out.
Oh my gosh, I've been all over it. Yeah, that's a crazy story.
Alright, so I was planning on going and taking, after we pick up Zach, going up, staying in Cody, going up to Cook City, north of Yellowstone, staying over, then come down the north route. That's gone. We can't go the north route.
Right.
So we're going to Cody, stay overnight, and then the next day take a ride up into the Beartooth. I want to show Zach something if I can get there. And then back down to Cody, and then the next day Cody into Yellowstone, because I had ordered Madison Campground before all this happened. We do have reservations.
Oh. Is that in the north part, the Madison?
No, it's on the southern loop.
Okay.
So we have to enter through the east gate. And I only booked, now we're booking 1 room in Cody for the 3 of us.
Okay, no problem.
Alright, no problem. And realize that we'll be sharing room and tent or whatever when we get into the campgrounds, because it's 1 tent or 2 tent when you book it, and you pay accordingly. And so we got 1 tent site with 1 vehicle. That's all the requirements that they have. You have to fill in.
And do they charge you extra if you bring another tent or a pop-up or something?
Yes, there's stuff required in there. In other words, the sites are specific to the number of people and the size of the site, the number of tents, the number of vehicles, the size of the vehicle.
So you got a tent appropriate for, a site appropriate for 3 people?
I have a site that will take 1 tent, the tent that I have, and we can all fit in that tent. And we don't want to rock the boat in Yellowstone because we're lucky we're even got our foot in the door. And then Teton, I've got, I think, 2 nights. And then there's an open night in there. We're not sure what we're going to do. We got to decide when we get there. And then we go down to Salt Lake to go to the Bonneville Saltplex if we still want to do that, which Zach does. I would be interested.
Okay. Can you do me a favor and send me the information on the campsite in the campsites in Yellowstone and the other locations, so I can look at it and then, kind of geographically get an understanding of, you know, how it rolls out, what else is around the campgrounds.
Just go into Yellowstone National Park.
No, but I mean, like the reservation number for the, so it'll show me like the, I guess
No, because you have to have a code to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to a code with a specific password and all of that, and I don't want to get involved giving that out and lose this reservation. Definitely don't want to do that. Because I only got Zach with me 7 nights.
Uh-huh.
So, it would take too much for you to go in and get that campground. You get my password and everything. And if you hit the wrong button, there goes the reservation. Please don't do that.
Okay.
You can go, I know, I've dealt with this before. You can go in and look up the campgrounds and all of that, and you get a feel for what they say.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to do is understand, have a
So you
understanding.
go to Yellowstone National Park, you can bring up Madison Campground, and you can go in and look at the various sites and see what the requirements are.
And so you're picking him up in Denver, then we have him for a week, and then he's going back to Denver to fly out again?
No, he's flying out of Salt Lake City.
Okay. And what's the date of that?
I have no idea. It's downstairs.
Alright. Do you remember the date of Denver by any chance? It's not a big deal. Just...
I can't remember. August 19th, I think he arrives.
Okay.
Why?
I just wanna have these, like, arrival, departure dates, so I know, like, when we're booked into a campground, when we're going to be on our way to Denver to pick up Zach, and when he has to go back to Denver, like, those kind of things, because, you know, those are like the hardwired things, you know,
Yeah.
so I wanna have all that kind of,
Alright, that'll come later then. Not tonight.
info, right, I got you. Okay, so, alright, we'll talk soon.
Alright.
Okay,
Get some sleep. Good night.
you too, bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.